Excuse me, Nakaba-sensei, but I thought I was reading Four Knights of the Apocalypse. I didn't know I was playing Dark Souls and fighting a boss. Before we hop in this review of Chapter 10 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, please do me a favor and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's get into it. What's up guys, That Guy with the Pencil here, and here we are to review Chapter 10 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Trampling Upon Their Hearts, aka Betrayal, aka, oh my, this thing's disgusting, aka, let's get into the chapter. So, we have the basic plot of this chapter is simply, Percival, he gets a new outfit, the new drip, basically from Dolores. She made it for Nicians, but of course it didn't fit Nicians because he grew, and now it's Percival's new swag. Aight, that's looking cool. They cut his hair too, so that's back to normal, looking less like a full-on croissant and only a little bit like a smaller one. Then they're all talking about how Nician saved the gorge and the fairies were praising him and they were apologizing. Nician's like, ayo, not gonna lie, I did initially cause the monsters to go crazy. That was my fault, OG, my fault. And they still ended up forgiving him because his drug work with Percival ended up saving the forest. Everyone's happy with that. Of course, I feel so bad. I feel really bad for Donnie, because Donnie's just this poor guy trying to take care of Percival, prevent him from just going off and dying. Percival just keeps risking his life for absolutely no reason. Like, he keeps asking him, please, just quit risking death already. And Percival just laughs in his face, like, come on, man, you know, I'm the main character. I won't actually die this early. Come on now. We ain't reading nothing that serious. And he kind of right, he kind of spitting. But basically, what intrigues me the most about this little statement is that Sin mentions that this disease or whatever didn't just affect plant and animal life, it seeps into the soil. And that's why your prayers didn't reach the earth. I guess she was praying to the goddesses to help fix the entire problem, but her prayers didn't reach the earth. So like that implies that prayers actually do something, which I thought it was just like all a goddess sham, that they didn't really care. Like, of course you had Mael occasionally pop in and help like right at the end, but you didn't necessarily have the goddess clan really doing anything. So I'm wondering what the prayer is still about, and I wonder why it seems weird that Sin already noted in the past that Dolores wasn't praying to Mother Earth, but now he's talking about how she was trying to get her prayers to reach the earth. I'm assuming that has a mix of doing with just like hoping the earth and soil fixes itself with help from the goddess clan. I guess that's like the two paths interlining, like a goddess assistant plus a giant who already is intermingled with the earth. Interesting stuff. I'm going to talk about Dolores in a bit. But then we see this nasty dark... Okay, so I read the Raws. I'm not going to lie. Like, whenever... I'd be fiending for Four Knights of the Apocalypse every single week. Especially this chapter. I was super excited for this chapter. And when I saw the Raws, and there was, like, no English dialogue to distract me, I was just absolutely, legitimately disgusted by what I witnessed. I'm not kidding. This is a Dark Souls boss personified. It just looks so... like, there's so many ways. I thought this looked like one of the Demon Clan. This is worse than any Demon Clan. This is worse than any Endura. This is worse than any monster Nakaba's drew up before. This thing's nasty. I am actively disgusted looking at this thing. Like, it was actually hard to look at. Nakaba, good job on designing monsters. You're fantastic at it. But geez, this one was actually just pure on nasty. Pops out and he starts blotting out all over the forest. He's destroying everything. It's wild. And then Nasians is going through that young trauma. And like, Pelgard, I'm gonna need you to show up. I'm gonna need you to have some backstory, because like, while personality wise you're still my favorite in terms of like both character and suffering, I think Nasian's, he's trying to steal that top spot from you, Pelgard. Like, really, he's going through it right now. He's flashing back to how like Ordo was taking care of him and everything, and he just sees this giant monster thing that is supposedly his grandfather. And I love how in a moment, like, I wonder if this is on purpose, if this is just paneling, like if the mouth actually said this, but if you look on one of the pages, it shows that when Nasians runs up and asks him, please say something, what changed you into this? He says, you, if my, like he's fighting it, like he's fighting whatever's taking him over, but then it cuts to the wider panel and he screams, crush gorge again. And the amazing thing is that you see Nasians keep flashing back between past and present. He's like trying to understand what the heck happened to Ordo. And shout outs to Dolores. She came in the clutch. Like, Percival was actually, for once, this is like the only time Percival seems to have been like too slow to save somebody, because Ordo does get a hand on Nasians. But guess who comes out the clutch? It's Dolores. And man, I'm still gonna talk about Dolores in a bit. So she comes out, grabs him. Nasians is like, you fought her still. Come on now. Blah, all over her. And then we get to see how this whole family comes together and how Nasi's is questioning, but wait, she's a giant, I'm a human, how are we brother and sister? And Ordo's like, you're just family. It doesn't matter by blood, it doesn't matter about your race, you're just family. I love that. It's such great, there's so much great messaging in this chapter. And then you see the fairy pull up and like, come on now, stop, come on now, kid. You gotta understand the beauty and detached wonderness of death. What the heck is this? This can't actually be a fairy. If this is legitimately a fairy, I don't know what emo phase this thing is in. I need to know what it actually is, because it seems way too knowledgeable, way too sinister. Maybe this is just like more fairy development, but this seems way too sinister for a fairy. Like, this is Helbram but worse, because he actually transforms things. And as Sin points out, this is the guy that turned Ordo into this monster. And the fairy's super weird. He's like, well said, a talking fox. Like, I don't know, this guy seems way too knowledgeable just to be a regular fairy. I'm really intrigued. And Percival just asked the question, why are you doing this? And like, outside of sin, we haven't heard the word sinner. Like, really in specific, like even up till 7 deadly sins, after a while the word sinner stopped being used. So when for some reason, when the fairy said, because this man is a sinner, now Ordo, atone for your sins and destroy this gorge, I was like, ooh, that sent some shivers down my spine. I wasn't ready for that one. And then he goes in for the munch to like absolutely just munch straight down on Nisans and Dolores. I guess he was about to go for the arm and everything. And then Percival, he literally headbutts Ordo back, grabs Nasians and says, we're gonna get your grandpa back, both of us. Nasians is about to hit that crying real quick. The fairy and Ordo's nasty behind are staring it up, and that's the chapter. And here's the thing, what I like about the chapter, as disgusting as the design is, I absolutely despise, like, this is where my respect as an artist of my own who wants to create his own stuff. Fantastic design, perfectly disgusting, but just like that's it. It's disgusting to me. It's absolutely horrible to watch, but I have to respect the art in this chapter, top tier. Nakamura's a really good artist. He doesn't get as much praise as artists like Horikoshi or the author of Record of Ragnarok or stuff like that, but he still is a seriously solid artist, great character designer. This is just proof of it. Fantastic character work. And speaking of character work, I think I like the structure of this chapter where we're in the present, but we keep getting flashbacks from Nasian's perspective of seeing what Ordo was, comparing it to what Ordo is now, and how this sharp dichotomy is like ruining Nasian's on a fundamental level, and that's why he drops the ball so hard and needs to be saved by Percival and Dolores. And that is amazing. I'm happy to see it. It's great stuff. Like, I love all this character work that Nasians is going through. I like the possible conflict of like Ordo is trying to fight back against this fairy that turned him into this weird monstrous form. And another thing I like, this fairy, like, as shocking as it is to see a fairy that's this malignant and evil and monstrous, I'm rocking with it. I don't know. I'm glad to see a fairy this way. This is something completely new. I mean, not necessarily completely new, because Helbram was a bit messed up, but this fairy just seems to be doing it because he likes death. He's rocking with death. And if this is a fairy, that's great. Fairy race does need a bit more clout, not gonna lie. As great as characters as Gloxinia, King, Helbram, Elaine, all of them are, like, they need more reps, but really the Giant Clan needs a lot more reps, because they only got Matrona and Diane, really, and maybe Dolores, and we're going to talk about Dolores in a second. But I think fairy, if this actually is a fairy that's just obsessed with death and did this to Ordo, wild for one. I want to know what abilities of his that he has that allowed him to do this. I want to know if he's working with anybody. I want to know if this is almost... Hey, see, the weird thing is, like, I always tie things back to Arthur right now, because we're in a weird state where we don't exactly know what's going on with Arthur and, like, his abilities, because we know Arthur technically would be able to do something along the lines of this, and he's able to bless people with abilities, because I'm assuming he blessed, no, maybe not, because, like, fantastic point, I'm sorry, I forget who said it, but someone in the comment section mentioned how, instead of the Goddess Clan or the Demon Clan directly being involved with either of the, like, Pelgard and Ironside, it could actually be like the Celestials and a descended version of demons and humans, like de-evolved demons also led to someone like Pelgard, who has access to a version of the Hellblaze. Like, it could be that, but I'm gonna blame Arthur because I'm interested in blaming Arthur, and I wonder what this fairy's powers is, where he came from, why he's so intrigued with death, what's all this, and if he is actually a fairy, because if he isn't, intriguing. I want more story behind how Ordo became this, if that's just the fairy's native ability, if that's actually a fairy. Super interesting questions brought up in this chapter. I like that a lot. Moving on to Dolores. Now, all y'all were, see, like, at first I didn't want to believe it, But like, y'all were bringing up like such fire points in last week's video about Dolores not actually being a reincarnation and just being straight up Dolores. And like, to be fair, I literally went back to the side chapter to reread it to make sure I wasn't crazy. I thought she had died, but Matrona just tells us she died. So technically she could have never died. And this could just be Dolores on Weight Watchers. And if it is, I mean, that's cool. I have so many questions though. Like, why didn't she go over to see Diane? What's she doing here? Why is she tiny? Like, at least when I reread the original chapter, Dolores still is decently sized. She's smaller for a giant, but she still towers over humans. And like, this Dolores is only about like twice the size, and she looks super young in the original flashback. But see, nah, that's just Nakaba's perspective constantly changing, because in this one full page image, she's decently taller. But like, I wonder if that is actual Dolores. Great, interesting. This is technically a character from original Seven Deadly Sins. I know we had Cats a couple chapters ago, but if this is Dolores from Seven Deadly Sins who just lost some weight, cool, intriguing. It explains why she immediately reacted to Ordo the way she did, instantly blocking him because of her giant training. So that's cool. I'd be super fine with that. I'm fine with she's a reincarnation, but now, forget the reincarnation. Forget the son of the children of the previous Seven Deadly Sins. Now, I just want Dolores to be Dolores. And that's a really cool concept. Thank y'all for that idea. I wasn't even thinking about that. Super interesting. Would love that. And I hope she gets back up. And I wonder what that poison did to her. That's something concerning that I'm a little bit worried about. I hope that didn't like absolutely take her out permanently. I hope she's going to be able to help in the fight with Percival and Nasians against this new Ordo. That's what I'm hoping for. And let me see, what else is there really to hit on? I'm intrigued with, like I mentioned, just the Sin stuff. Like, Sin is super knowledgeable, and I would love to say he's just a talking fox who knows what it's like, but he seems so like artificially knowledgeable. Like, he knows way too much for what he is. And I know he works with an organization. Like, it's been glazed over because we're in the Nasians arc right now. Sin does work with a group of people who are hoping for the Four-Night success in order to stop the evil King Arthur, if all that's true. And I'm wondering where he got all this information from. Who's Sin's, like, I need to know Sin's group. Like, I'm super intrigued. He's taken, remember, this is just all a interception or like an intermission on the way to Leonis. So he's from Leonis, I'm guessing, something along those lines. I'm just super intrigued with Sin, because he seems to know a lot. Of course, he knows about the giants and how they normally pray to Mother Earth, and how the differences and why the magic has seeped into the soil and not just the plants, why it's affecting the gorge on a deeper level. Sin knows so much that I need to know more about Sin. Like, that's the trade-off here. I want to know more. I want to know more about the fairy. I want to know more about Sin. I want to know what happened to Ordo. I want to know what Dolores is. Is she reincarnation? Is she just Dolores? And like, what's the deal with that? What's the strat? What's the skinny? I want to know how Nasians is gonna fight Ordo. Like, is this a reversible process? Like, not gonna lie, Ordo looks a little bit too far gone. Like, Ordo may have to go though. He may have to get up out of here. They may have to get Ordo up out of here because he looks kind of done, son. I'm not gonna lie to you. Man, he's just so disgusting. Like, ugh. Like, he's just nasty. I keep tearing into Ordo. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, once again, like, Nakaba's doing a fantastic job, and he's doing a fantastic job of raising questions. And while I want answers to these questions, I'm fine with the pace we're moving at now, because, like I said last week, want to see the original cast a lot, because I know they should all still be alive. Hopefully no one got off screen. People got off screen, kind of sad, but I'm super intrigued with where we are right now, so I'm good on waiting. And I just want to know, like, now, here's the thing. Britannia and the World of Seven Deadly Sins to me was interesting in the past, lore-wise, because of the different species, because I wanted to know the history. But now that we're here, I feel like I'm learning more about Britannia in these first few couple chapters than I ever did in Seven Deadly Sins. Because Britannia was really just locations, was just a mass of specific locations, and I'm learning more smaller niche locations like Echo Gorge. I'm super intrigued. That's it. I'm very, very intrigued with where we are right now and where we're going to go. So where do you think we're going to go? I wonder if this is going to be a one chapter fight. I feel like it won't be. I feel like this may be like a two-parter where next week they start to fight Ordo for Sincerely, and then they realize it's not working, and then they're going to like interrogate the fairy or something, or have the fairy turn them back. Something like that. I'm very, very intrigued with where we're going to go, but where do you think it's going to go? Please tell me in the comment section down below. I'm excited to see Nasians and Percival fight. This team up is going to be very interesting, especially since Percival doesn't have a weapon. Is he going to spawn his magic again? Is Nasians going to pull out Hembane and Belladonna is gonna be slicing up that young boy Ordo. Well, he's not young. He's not a boy anymore either. Is Dolores gonna get back up? Is she gonna start using the Earth powers? Like, we're in a super interesting spot. Is Donnie gonna help? Is Danny gonna? I keep calling him Danny. Is Donnie gonna pull up and like hit Ordo with the levitation magic to hold him in the air and try something? Like, we have so many interesting powers here that could interact in very interesting ways, and I hope we get that. I'm really, really hoping. I'm super excited for next week's chapter. This chapter, man, like, I just want to take all the points off because of Ordo's design. But no, I'm kidding. This chapter, super interesting. I love the way it's structured. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. It's like 8 to 10. 8 to 10. That's the range. Like, there are some, like, this is the thing. I can't even name issues outside of Ordo's nasty design, but that's a perk. That's like, that's a double-edged sword of Nakaba's too good at designing monsters, so it looks disgusting. And of course, we just have all the unanswered questions. Here, that's the thing. I'll take a point off because I'm just being mean at this point. I'm not even being objective. I'm just being mean. I'll take a point off from a 10. I'm gonna make it a 9, mainly because I'm getting more and more questions and not really enough answers. Like, I still have no idea why Dolores isn't done. I have no idea what happened to Ordo. I have no idea what this fairy is. I have no idea about much of anything right now. I know, only 10 chapters in. I shan't be expecting answers this soon. But I feel like, Nakaba, you're doing great about laying too many questions. But since you're laying so many questions, like, now, I'm just, like, looking at my plate, waiting for an answer. Like, please lay one on me. Please. Next chapter, I hope I get some answers. But, regardless of that, I think still a super solid chapter, 9 out of 10. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.